You wear sneakers almost every day. You probably didn't think twice about who made them, how much they cost to produce, or what happens to the money after you tap your card at checkout. But that pair of shoes is actually a tiny piece of one of the biggest lessons in wealth building. Because somewhere between the factory floor and your closet, there's a difference between buying a product and owning a company. And that difference has made some people millionaires while everyone else just buys shoes. This idea shaped entire industries, created legendary fortunes, and it's still playing out every single day in markets around the world. The question is, what does it actually mean to own a shoe company, and why does that one word change everything? Let's go back to the beginning. In 1964, a guy named Phil Knight had $50 in a weird idea. He'd sell Japanese-made running shoes out of the trunk of his car at track meets. No store, no brand, just a guy, a car, and a hunch that runners wanted better shoes than what was on the market. He called the company Blue Ribbon Sports. Not exactly a name that screams future global empire, right? But here's the thing. Knight wasn't just selling shoes. He was building a system, a supply chain, a brand, a story people wanted to be part of. By 1971, Blue Ribbon Sports became something else, something you've definitely heard of: Nike. Now here's where the psychology kicks in. Most people who buy Nike shoes think about the product, the comfort, the style, maybe the swoosh on the side. That's the consumer mindset. But a small number of people looked at Nike differently. They didn't just want the shoes, they wanted a piece of the company that made them. In 1980, Nike went public. That means regular people could buy tiny slices of ownership called shares. For around $22 a share, you could own a literal piece of Nike. Think about that. If you'd bought a modest amount of Nike stock back then and just held it, didn't touch it, didn't panic during the dips, that investment would be worth an almost unbelievable amount today. We're talking about turning a few $1,000s into a small fortune just by owning instead of only buying. That's the power of ownership.
But here's what makes this so important. This isn't really a story about shoes. It's a story about a mental shift. The shift from "I like this product" to "I want to own the machine that makes this product." That shift is one of the biggest differences between people who build wealth and people who don't. Let's zoom out for a second, because this pattern didn't start with Nike. Back in the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company did something wild. They let regular investors buy shares in their shipping business. If the ships came back loaded with spices, investors made money. If the ships sank, investors lost money. This was the birth of the modern stock market. And even then, the psychology was the same. Most people just wanted the spices, the end product, but a smaller group of people wanted a piece of the ships, the trade routes, the entire operation. Same pattern, different century, different product, same lesson. Now let's fast forward again, because the shoe industry has more examples than just Nike. Adidas, founded by Adi Dassler in Germany in the 1940s, built on the same principle: make a great product, build trust, and let the company grow. People who bought Adidas shares decades ago rode a similar wave of long-term growth. Under Armour, founded by Kevin Plank in 1996, starting with sweat-wicking shirts he tested on his own college football team. That company eventually went public too, giving early believers another shot at ownership. Notice the pattern yet? Every single one of these stories starts small. A person, an idea, a garage, a trunk, a dorm room. And every single one of these stories eventually splits people into two groups: customers and owners. Here's what makes this even more interesting. Owning stock in a shoe company doesn't mean you have to know anything about designing shoes. You don't need to understand rubber compounds or supply chains or marketing campaigns. When you buy a share, you're essentially saying, "I believe smart people are running this well, and I want to benefit from that." That's a completely different skill than being a good shoe designer. It's the skill of recognizing value and being patient enough to let it grow.
But here's the problem most people run into. Buying stock feels less exciting than buying shoes. A new pair of sneakers gives you an instant feeling. You put them on, you look good, you feel good. A stock purchase gives you a number on a screen. Boring, right? Your brain basically says, shoes now feel better than shares later. Future you disagrees, but future you isn't the one at the checkout counter. This is a documented pattern in behavioral finance called present bias. Humans are wired to overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future ones. It's why saving money is hard, why investing feels boring, and why buying stuff feels amazing in the moment. Yeah, your closet has probably felt this one. But the people who build serious wealth train themselves to fight that bias. They delay the instant reward of spending in exchange for the long-term reward of owning. That's the mental gap between a customer and an investor. Now, here's where it gets even bigger than shoes. This same pattern shows up everywhere. Coffee, phones, streaming services. Every time you spend money on a product you love, somewhere out there, someone owns a piece of the company behind it, and that person is often making far more money from your habit than you'd expect. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get richer just by living normal lives, while others work just as hard and stay stuck? A lot of the answer comes down to this exact idea: ownership versus consumption. It's not about being anti-shopping. You can absolutely love your sneakers, but the real financial lesson is this: don't just be a fan of a company's success. Try to find ways to participate in it. That doesn't mean you need to become a stock-picking genius overnight. It means understanding that markets exist specifically so ordinary people can